Hello, this is Dennis Fuchs with the Stearns County Soil and Water Conservation District update. Today I'd like to talk to you about nitrogen fertilizer. As you know, a lot of you folks have been applying manure out on our fields because we had some nice weather. Well, that's changed here recently with this past week. I actually had over 2 inches of rain, and I'm sure a lot of people did, and it has slowed the application of manure. And manure contains a lot of nitrogen, and too much nitrogen is not a good thing. It ends up in our groundwater, and if it gets too high, can actually impact infants and cause blue baby syndrome, where they actually can turn blue and suffocate from the lack of oxygen in their blood supply. So we want to do the best job we possibly can in managing our nitrogen fertilizers. So you should be testing your manure, applying at agronomic rates, and you should be giving credits to previous legume crops and keeping the University of Minnesota recommendations in mind when applying additional fertilizer. As you probably heard, the city of Cold Spring is going to be pursuing a new water plant, and that'll be going in this year. And John Stubbe, the Public Works Director at the City of Cold Spring, said it was needed due to the high levels of nitrate. And they've been close to the drinking water standard of 10 part per million, and one well was actually exceeding that and over 13 part per million. And they are going to be spending $6 million on the treatment plant for the City of Cold Spring, with roughly $4 million of that coming from state bonding. So there again, I just want to illustrate how important it is that we do a good job when we apply and manage our nitrogen fertilizers. There's many things that can contribute to the nitrogen problem, including septic systems, over application of a variety of fertilizers, and over application of manure. We have been working with the City of Cold Spring and farmers in the area for many years, and one thing you have to keep in mind is that corn and soybean systems are leaky systems. When I worked at the Southwest Research and Outreach Center at Lamberton with the University of Minnesota, we had plots looking at corn, that's continuous corn, a corn-soybean rotation, and then we had brome grass and alfalfa. And we had tile lines installed at about 4 feet deep, and we collected water when it flowed in these tile lines to see how much nitrates were in these various cropping systems. And in the brome grass, which was simulating the CRP type of field back in the day, and in alfalfa, we typically found 0 nitrates in those waters flowing through the tile line. In the corn soybean systems, we consistently found elevated levels of nitrates, 20 to 30 part per million. So it's just a leaky system, and it's something that we need to consider. Now, the Minnesota Department of Ag recently had legislators approve the Groundwater Protection Rule, and this is a 2-part rule. The first part of the rule talks about restricting application of nitrogen fertilizer in the fall on frozen soils if you have a vulnerable groundwater, and if you're in a drinking water supply management area with high nitrate. And we do have some of those areas in Stearns County and throughout central Minnesota. And there's maps available online. And that's for fall restrictions. In the spring, we're allowed to put fertilizer because it's better timed when the crop is going to be taking it up. In the spring, you're going to be planting crops, you're going to be growing and utilizing that nitrogen as part of the plant develops. Second part of that rule is where these DWSMAs, drinking water supply management areas, which already have elevated nitrate. And the goal is to take action to reduce nitrate in groundwater before a public well exceeds the health standard for nitrate. The rule is structured using a sliding scale of voluntary and regulatory actions based on the concentration of nitrate in the well and the use of BMPs, best management practices. And we have 2 communities in Stearns County that we are working with in developing a local advisory team, and that's Cold Spring and Melrose. These are two communities that are experiencing elevated levels of nitrate in their groundwater drinking supply. And we will be working with these local advisory teams to identify the best course of action to continue to reduce the nitrates that we are seeing in these communities. And we're hoping that we've got a great team. We really worked closely with the farmers within the area that are farming in the drinking water supply management area, the actual area that is part of the recharge. Usually it's a unique line that covers a 10-year time of travel. So if you have a field that's relatively close to where the city well is, if you apply fertilizer or nutrients, they could potentially get to that well in a 10-year time of travel. And so what we do is we're going to be working with these folks. And one idea I'd like to share with these local advisory teams is that we should really work on getting every farmer in the drinking water supply management area certified in the Minnesota Ag Water Quality Certification Program. That program provides a goalpost for what our goals are. And a lot of farmers have already been certified. We're approaching 100 farmers in the county and being certified. And as you probably heard, the governor's got a goal of 1 million acres by the end of next year in the program. And that program provides an assessment of every field and every crop. And one of those things that is assessed is how well you're managing your nitrogen fertilizer, along with phosphorus and potassium.